It was a calm Sunday, November 29, 1964, a day when most people enjoyed a well-deserved break from their usual work or mundane activities. However, for Henry Bourse and his companions, this day held the promise of an extraordinary adventure by the ocean. Henry Bourse, a remarkable individual born on March 25, 1934 in Rotterdam, was a Dutch-Australian scuba diver, underwater filmmaker, and musician. Henry's story began in his early life when he migrated to Australia as a teenager in 1954, accompanied by his family. His father imparted upon him the art of using an aqualung, while Henry himself pursued a career as a graphic artist. He possessed a multifaceted talent, excelling not only as an underwater photographer, but also as a saxophonist for a popular rock and roll band based in Melbourne. Unconstrained by societal norms or limitations, Henry's aspirations knew no bounds. Even his girlfriend, Jill Ratcliffe, never discouraged him from pursuing his audacious ideas. Then, when Henry conceived the plan to explore the ocean, it transcended the typical notion of simply wading in the Australian beaches. His vision entailed capturing footage of seals on a remote and ancient island off the Victoria coast, coupled with spearfishing in the surrounding waters. Lady Julia Percy Island, situated 22 kilometers from Port Fairy, was their intended destination for a typical Sunday outing. This offshore volcanic island, formed approximately 7 million years ago during tumultuous underwater eruptions, had gradually separated from the Australian mainland as it distanced itself from Antarctica. The waters surrounding the island were characterized by depths ranging from 30 to 50 meters, where powerful waves crashed against the jagged rocks lining the shores. Towards the southwest end of the island, imposing vertical cliffs, rocky coves, and shoreline platforms adorned the landscape, alongside ancient sea caves harboring enigmatic marine creatures and mysterious caverns. Lady Julia Percy Island boasted the largest breeding colony of Australian fur seals, a remarkable sight in itself. Moreover, the isolation of the island provided sanctuary to rare seabird species, surpassing even the extraordinary standards of Australian wildlife. However, where there existed a thriving population of fur seals, the presence of their natural predator, the formidable great white shark, could not be ignored. Little did Henry and his companions know that this fateful day would forever alter the course of their lives. The members of the Victorian Aqualung Club, to which Henry belonged, joined forces with the Port Fairy Mantis Skin Diving Club, embarking from Moyne River Wharf aboard a commercial shark fishing vessel. It was a common sight to see filmmakers like Henry wearing black hooded wetsuits in those days. Eventually, the two groups reached the shores of Lady Julia Percy Island, prepared to delve into the exploration of the area and capture footage of the seals. As they anchored the bow a few meters off the coast of Lady Julia Percy Island, Henry engaged in conversation with his friends, Dietmar Krupa and Fred Arndt. However, the topic they discussed was far from ordinary. It wasn't the typical chatter one would expect before plunging into the ocean and surrendering themselves to the unpredictable waves. The subject at hand revolved around a chilling tale, a story of a massive great white shark that roamed the surrounding waters, ominously named Big Ben. While most legendary tales of monstrous creatures tend to be devoid of truth, it wasn't difficult to entertain the notion in this case, considering the vast expanse of fur seals that stretched as far as the eye could see. Place a person on a boat in the middle of the ocean near a remote island, and you have the perfect setting for the creation of the most formidable creature imaginable, even if only in the realm of one's imagination. Locals, however, asserted that the colossal shark, measuring a staggering 20 feet in length, was indeed a reality, and they bore the scars to validate their claims. For Henry, though, this was simply another exhilarating opportunity to add to his portfolio. At approximately 12:45 p.m., Henry plunged into the water, venturing into its depths. He spent about an hour capturing footage before returning to the boat around 1:15 p.m. Unsatisfied with the initial footage, Henry decided to venture back into the waters. This time, he was accompanied by Dietmar and Fred, both armed with shorthand spears. Little did they know that this dive would forever alter the course of their lives, as unforeseen events unfurled before them. Engaging in a free dive, the three friends stumbled upon a group of seals frolicking in the undulating waves. Henry swiftly adjusted his focus and began filming, paying particular attention to a dominant bull seal among the harem. Suddenly, the playful seals abruptly fled, and the once lively waves turned eerily calm. Something was amiss. but due to the limited visibility underwater, the divers struggled to discern the cause. Descending further into the depths, reaching a depth of 10 meters, they clung to the ocean floor. Yet despite their efforts, the seals remained elusive, and they soon realized they had no choice but to ascend. Henry propelled himself toward the surface, breaking through the water's barrier as his head emerged. However, in a split second, an unimaginable force collided with him, reminiscent of a freight train's impact. In the midst of the chaos, Henry's mind struggled to comprehend the unfolding nightmare. Instinctively, he recognized his attacker and instinctively thrust his arms into the air, signaling desperately to the other divers. His piercing scream echoed through the water, "Shark!" But before he could fully process the gravity of the situation, an overwhelming force seized him, dragging him mercilessly beneath the surface. Powerless and helpless, Henry became a pawn in a watery battlefield. The sheer strength of the pull was so intense that Henry's mask and snorkel were forcefully torn away from his face. And in that fleeting moment, he caught a harrowing glimpse of his assailant. It was the infamous great white shark, Big Ben. The creature had clamped its formidable jaws around Henry's leg, shaking him with the ferocity of a dog ripping apart an old slipper. Desperately, Henry attempted to reach for the shark's eyes, but its massive snout obstructed his efforts. Pain seared through his body as the shark's teeth punctured his calf, his hand frantically scrabbling across the predator's face. Yet beyond the excruciating agony, a more urgent threat loomed. Henry was drowning, his breath held for nearly 45 seconds as the relentless assault persisted. Suffocating, he felt the immense creature tug at him, violently rolling him from side to side. Amidst the chaos, memories of the conversation about Big Ben aboard the boat flooded Henry's mind, intensifying his fear and desperation. Then, in an abrupt turn of events, the pulling and rolling ceased as if a momentary respite had emerged. Henry propelled himself towards the surface, breaking through the water's barrier, grasping for air with every ounce of his being. His trembling hand instinctively reached for his left leg, but it was no longer there. The shark had torn it away, leaving a gaping void. Despite the shock and trauma, Henry summoned his dwindling strength and focused his thoughts. Thietmar and Fred swiftly approached Henry, their presence offering a glimmer of hope amidst the unfolding tragedy. However, the ordeal was far from over, for the relentless shark returned, driven by its insatiable appetite for the defenseless filmmaker. Yet Thietmar and Fred valiantly fought back, brandishing their small handheld spears in an effort to repel the relentless beast. Time and time again, the shark lunged at Henry, persistently testing the resilience of his companions. The intense struggle distorted the spears, bearing witness to the ferocity of the battle. With the chaos underwater subsiding, the dive boat raced towards the turmoil, propelled by urgency. Jill clutched the safety line, her grip firm as she braced herself for the rescue mission. Eventually, Henry's battered form was hoisted onto the boat, his presence met with a flurry of activity. Blood gushed from his wounds, staining the vessel's deck. The other divers swiftly congregated around him, their focus on saving his life. Amidst the frantic scene, a tourniquet was expertly applied to stem the profuse bleeding. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, the captain made a swift decision. The priority now was to transport Henry to the hospital, leaving the remaining members on the island temporarily behind. A distress call echoed through the airwaves, summoning assistance in the form of a blood transfusion. As the boat reached Port Fairy, an awaiting ambulance stood ready, armed with several liters of life-saving blood. The gravity of Henry's condition became evident as the doctor assessed his injuries. The vicious attack had caused him to lose a staggering 3.5 liters of blood. Without delay, he was swiftly whisked away to Harnham Hospital, where his battle for survival would unfold. In the aftermath of the harrowing incident, two prevailing theories emerged, seeking to explain the shocking attack on Henry. The first theory, put forth by Thietmar, suggested that Henry had come into contact with the dog on the beach and on the boat. It was believed that the lingering scent of the canine was carried over to Henry, triggering the shark's aggression. The second theory centered around Henry's choice of attire, a wetsuit adorned with yellow linings. While experts and researchers from 2 Australian universities confirmed that sharks are colorblind, they emphasized the predator's acute perception on contrasting objects in the murky depths of Lady Julia Percy Island. The vivid yellow markings on Henry's swimsuit would have starkly contrasted with the surrounding waters. potentially catching the attention of the lurking great white sharks. However, some argue that the probability of a shark attack was significantly lower than that of getting lost at sea. Bright colors such as yellow aided in the visibility and detection of individuals by rescue teams. Nevertheless, Henry found himself brutally attacked despite being in the presence of seals, underscoring the unpredictable nature of such encounters. His survival was a stroke of fortune. After a few weeks of arduous recovery, Henry defied the odds and returned to the water. In 1968, he released a documentary titled Savage Shadow, which featured actual footage of the attack in a reenactment. In a subsequent interview, Henry expressed no ill will towards the creature that had forever changed his life. To him, the shark had merely acted according to its instincts. Henry's resilience and perspective were a testament to his character.